Hello, loves. My name is Maya, and welcome to my canvas. I hope you all had a blessed week, and today I will be diving into some nostalgia. We're going back to the days of waking up on Saturday mornings and watching cartoons, or even running home from school to some of our favorite Cartoon Network shows. And after some thinking, one show came to mind. He's adorable, purple, and has a dream of becoming a top chef. It's one of my favorite nostalgia characters, Chowder. My art challenge today is to take these hilarious, lovable characters and draw them in human form in my style. My goal is to focus on the main trio, Chowder, Schnitzel, and Mung Dal. This trio goes on many funny cooking adventures, and in the process, Chowder is learning, if not also tasting as he goes. So sit back, grab a snack, or some art supplies, and draw with me as I reimagine this funny, amazing Cartoon Network trio. First, we're going to start with the all-star chef, Mung Dal. Mung Dal is the owner and head chef of Mung Dal's Catering Company, and he's also Chowder's teacher. Mung Dal takes Chowder in as his apprentice, and he adores teaching Chowder everything he needs to know about being a chef, if Chowder doesn't eat the food first. I love Mung Dal because throughout the series, you can tell he loves Chowder like a son, and he'd do anything to make sure he's happy. However, Chowder does not make it easy for him every time they have to make a dish for a client. My goal for Mung was to mix his form with his old and new style. When Mung Dal was younger, he had some pretty nice hair, and he also claimed that he was a catch for the ladies. So I took that hairstyle from when he was younger, and I just aged it up with white hair to match his current age. Because looking at his current hairstyle design, I had no idea what to do with that bush. So I was like, we're gonna zhuzh that up a little bit. Thank goodness I remembered that he did show his younger self in his earlier days, and he had a head full of hair, luscious hair at that. So I took that and reimagined it with his current form. I also wanted to focus on how to pose him. Mung Dal always took a chance to impress the ladies, even though he was happily married to Truffles. So I wanted one of his poses to have a somewhat of a sass to it, so that he can, rizz up the ladies, you know what I mean. And for his second pose, I wanted him to be more dramatic. In the show, Mung is always caught yelling at Chowder in distress. So I had to add in a more dramatic pose for him. On a quick side note, I'm also testing out some new brushes during this challenge. And the software that I'm using is clipstudiopaint. I wanted to start adding more texture to my line art, so I found a pen that does just that. And I also miss when I used to have like a more painterly styled art, so I wanted to find a coloring brush that had lighter strokes, because I'm super heavy handed when I'm painting, so that it would give me that more shaded oil paint feel when I was coloring in the characters. Now back to Mung Dal. After getting his proportions and colors right, he was finally complete. And now I can move on to the next main character, Schnitzel. Schnitzel is a underpaid employee for Mung's Catering Company, and he has to deal with Chowder's antics every single day in the kitchen. I love Schnitzel because he's like the handyman for all the recipes. He's as strong as a rock, literally, and he does take his job pretty seriously in the kitchen. I also love his attitude. He is the type of employee to clock out as soon as his shift is done. And I love that about him. And he doesn't help any further than he's asked to. And that's if he really, really wants to help in those crazy cooking situations. Even though the viewer can't understand a word he's saying because for some reason he only speaks in radas, the viewer can see him as the common sense character. Like, you don't have to understand what he's saying, you can just tell from his demeanor and his facial expressions when he's just not up to something, or if he doesn't feel a certain way to another character. And I just love Schnitzel as a character in general, because he has so much personality without him having to really do too much. It's really more just all in the face without you having to worry about what he's actually saying. You can just tell what he's saying just from his demeanor in general. And I definitely wanted to capture that sass and that I don't really care, I'm just here for a check attitude when I was coming up with his humanized design. My goal for Schnitzel was to focus on how I thought his body shape would be if he were a human, because his Cartoon Network design, he had like a really long neck and then more of like a stouty body towards the ground. So he's a tall rock character that's strong and can carry heavy things. So I wanted his body shape to be tall and broad-shouldered to match those characteristics. What's also unique about Schnitzel is that he does not have hair. So I was stumped at first on how I could represent that. And I finally came to the idea of giving him man buns. But instead of one, I drew two in the form of like locks and space bun form. And once I drew that, I just fell in love with that part of the design because I figured it would make sense anyway to give him a style that pulls his hair up while he's cooking. So it all ended up coming together once that hairstyle was done. And lastly, for his second pose, I wanted to represent the scene from when he was telling a joke to Mung Doll.
I know. Rada, 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 rada. Oh my show.
And now that I finished Schnitzel, it was time to move on to our main character, Chowder. Chowder is a cute little purple furball who loves to eat first and cook second. I loved how when they're even gathering ingredients, he's just so entwined and just eating the ingredients before they can even have enough for the dish. So, which had brought him into some pretty peculiar situations in the kitchen, but I just thought that was so adorable and obviously funny for him to do that. Chowder is just such a ball of fun, and I love that he has a little bit of spunk to him in his character too. He always speaks his mind and is never afraid to ask a question or stand up for himself to other characters in the show. He also loves to break the fourth wall. Something like this.
You're our only hope.
Hello, what about me? No, you're not in this episode.
So my goal for Chowder's human form was to capture his likeness. I wanted to be sure he had his cute chubbiness and that his clothes had that fun, unique floral pattern. He didn't take too long to design because his original form was already pretty simple. As I was drawing him, he didn't really come together for me until I added that floral pattern to his clothes. But once that was added, I was happy with the results. And after I took some time to add some finishing touches to Chowder, I realized that Chowder has some sort of like whiskers likes on his cheeks sometimes in like certain frames of the show. So to capture that, and instead of adding whiskers, I thought it would be cute to add like pink freckles to represent the pinkness of like his cat nose in the show. And I loved how they came out. I think the pink freckles really added a little bit more depth to his character. And now that Chowder, our main character, is finalized, let's take a look at the final results of this funny cooking trio. And ta-da! I absolutely love how they came out. Now that I see them lined up side by side, I can definitely see them fitting in a humanized show together. I have to say that Mung Doll came out way better than I expected. I haven't made a character that had bright blue skin like that in a while, and not that often. So once I came to like his skin, it was a little bit intimidating at first, but I'm glad I just let his character cook. With Schnitzel, I kind of already had in my mind, even when I was a kid of watching Schnitzel, of this is how I pictured him. I knew that he was chocolate. I knew that he was like tall and a little bit of brawn. And I knew that he had like, you know, just some earthiness to him, you know, ripped jeans, some sneakers, just a chill dude that's just here to get a check. So in a way, Schnitzel didn't take too long because I already had in my mind like okay, I already knew what he was gonna look like. My only stumble, like I mentioned before, really was when it came to his hair. And once I figured that out, my idea for him just meshed completely well. Chowder came out great to me. I want to say this is the first time I've drew a childlike character, because I usually always just draw adults. So he was a nice fun experiment for me because, like I said, I'm used to drawing adult-like figures. I've been drawing adult-like figures for years, so kind of having to like size it down and to keep that bubbly childlike form in the face was a new task for me. And I think Chowder made it easier because he had some chubbiness to him, so that kind of helped me ease into giving him those childlike features with the dimples, the cheeks, the bigger eyes, and things of that sort. But with that being said, let me know what you lovelies think below. Who is your favorite humanized version? I'd love to hear it. And let me know what show you'd like to see me do next. But alright loves, please like if you liked what you saw and subscribe for more. Thank you very, very much for hanging out with me. I pray that you guys have a blessed day and night, and I will see you in the next video.